This is Sunday, July 8th. There are 10 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2018. Welcome to SD Concast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog. Good afternoon. I am your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast tonight, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Actually, no, Annie will be leading the podcast tonight, so you and I could just take off. Yeah, that's a no. That's a no.
No. And like, just let me go back and lay down. I don't care.
Pretty much, yeah.
Whatever. But we do care.
Yes, you and I do.
Time to get into the Saturday and Sunday schedule of this very interesting year of panels at Comic-Con. We will be taking comments and questions throughout the show. Send them on in. Tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConcast. We will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. So let's just jump right in. We're going to start up on Saturday. Anything to talk about before we get right into the schedule today?
I don't think so. I don't think we've really learned anything new. Comic-Con International still has not officially announced the times for the ticket draws up in sales for the Horton Pavilion panels, but we did post a little how-to guide about it based on what it's been in the previous years today. The only one we know for sure is Scare Diego on Wednesday, starts at 2 p.m. But if you want to attend any of those, you can go look at the guide that we posted today.
There you go. Okay, so we're going to jump right in, just like we did a couple days ago. We're going to start on Saturday. We're going to start in the smaller rooms, in this case, 7AB, which seats 480. And kicking it off at 10 a.m. is Happy Birthday Frankenstein. And Frankenstein is going to be 200 years old. And this panel will be featuring a bunch of panelists talking about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. At 11, we have We Believe in Suspense. And this is a, comic scribes panel talking about working. Let me see. I'm trying to read what it is here, but it's basically just a bunch of people talking about comics.
That's fair.
Imagine that happening at Comic-Con, right?
Never.
At noon, we have Spotlight on R.A. Salvatore. He's a special guest, and they will be talking about fantasy, Forgotten Realms, and it is moderated by David Pomerico. At 1 o'clock, we have IFC Stand Against Evil, and this is John C. McGinley, Janet Varney, Nate Mooney, Deborah Baker Jr., and executive producer Dana Gould to give a sneak peek of season 3. 2 o'clock, we have Traditional Narrative and Digital Storytelling. This one is pretty cool. It's about writers sharing how to get storytelling done in the digital modern age. We have at 3 o'clock, Artists Who Write, the Craft and Creation of Comics. This one is basically what it sounds like, but it features an all-star lineup. This is going to be a Dark Horse themed panel with Frank Miller, Dave Gibbons, Joelle Jones, Wendy Peeney, and Raphael Albuquerque. That is a stellar lineup.
Yeah.
At 4 o'clock, we have Oddball Comics Live, hosted by the annual. It's basically just every single year this happens. It's by Scott Shaw, and it's basically crazy comic books and things that you can't believe that people published. So then this one is a long panel. It's actually from 4 to 5:30 because he goes over a lot of stuff because people have published a lot of crazy stuff. At 5:30, we have Doctor Who, The Road to 13. And this is from Titan Comics, Doctor Who. It's all of the people involved in creating the new 13th Doctor comics, including Jody Houser, Kevon Scott, George Mann, Paul Cornell, and Kelly Yates. At 6:30, we have Sketch to Screen, Ready Player One, Rampage and Beyond. And this is visionary concept artist Aaron Sims and the Aaron Sims creative team discuss world building, previs, visual effects, and all of that for films and how they basically build those things to become the films you enjoy. At 7:30, we have Funimation Favorites, which is one of those generic descriptions of staff members take a look at some personal favorites from current anime and past classics. What's your Funimation favorite? And then at 8:30, going late into the night, we have Crunchyroll Industry Panel, the latest and hottest in anime today. And that's, again, exactly what it is. It's the people from Crunchyroll talking about what's coming out and what is cool now. And there will be a special gift for all who attend.
Over in the Horton Grand, and real quick, I've had a couple of questions, more questions about the Horton Grand over in the chat. So, like I said, Wednesday through Saturday, there's panels over in the Horton Grand. And just so you know, the Horton Grand only seats a grand total of 240 people, so not a whole lot. But the way that the Horton Grand works is you have to line up, and then in the morning, you can go up to the sales pavilion. There's a specific desk there, and it tells you in that post that we did today where to go get your tickets. But you draw. If you win, they give you 2 tickets, which I believe have like actual seat numbers on them. If you don't draw a winning ticket, you can go to the back of the line and try again. But we've had a lot of people asking specifically about the Wednesday night Horton Grand Scare Diego, and I have no idea if it's open only to preview night badge holders or not. My suggestion is it never hurts to try. They may not let you in. Who knows? But it never hurts to try. All right, now on to
there. Is there any flow issues in 7A? I think the only thing that may really fill up is the Stand Against Evil if enough people know it's happening there.
Yeah, I agree. It holds 480, so I feel like all of these honestly are going to be pretty easy to get into.
The one with the Dark Horse lineup with all of the
that's a great lineup. Yeah,
that may get a lot of people into it, but I don't think that you need to. I don't think any of these are going to need lining up. I think, if you're worried about one of those that may get full, just show up half an hour before.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. All right, on to Saturday Horton Grand. So at 1:30, we have Super Troopers 2 with Broken Lizard, and this is basically a whole bunch of the folks behind Super Troopers 2, like I'm not even going to try to say these names, actually. It's a whole bunch of those people. There you go. Kevin Heffernan, Steve Lim, Paul Sofer, and Eric Stolhansky, and basically they are promoting the Blu-ray that's coming out, but the movie just came out not too long ago, so it's a cool look, especially if you are fans of any of those people. And then from 3 to 4, we have Building the Studio of Tomorrow, which is the team at Einhorn's Epic Productions, as they basically just talk about making blockbusters.
Yes.
That's essentially what it is. And then at 7, so there's quite a big break there. From 7 to 9:15, they'll be doing a screening of My Neighbor Totoro, as hosted by Her Universe. So Ashley Eckstein will actually be there. And then from 10 to midnight, we have Deadpool 2, the uncut version. So this is super interesting, and we'll talk about this more when we get to the Hall H stuff. But it does say that there will be some surprises. So it sounds like you might get some cast popping by for a minute to introduce the film, but I don't think anyone possibly guessed that Deadpool 2 would be on the Saturday schedule.
I bet you nobody did.
Literally no one.
Nobody.
So that's cool.
So as Carrie mentioned, this is the tickets thing in sales, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Look at the site for the instructions on that, unless Comic-Con changes it another thing this year,
which is possible.
So basically, you don't have to worry about lining up except for in the morning to get tickets. So,
and I believe that they do have some standby tickets at the event. So if you can't line up there, you can always head over to the Horton to see if they have any extras. Super Troopers 2 and Deadpool 2, I think, are going to be pretty packed, especially Deadpool 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the other two, I don't think you'll have much of a problem at all getting into.
Right. Okay, let's move on to room 60E, seats 884. This is basically going to be mostly DC, starting at 10 a.m., DC My Secret Origin. And this is basically just some talent from DC talking about how they broke into comics. At 11:15, we have DC World's Finest. And again, it's a bunch of folks from DC talking about what's coming up in the world of DC. At 12:30, we have DC New Age of Heroes. This is, let me see here. It's going to be writers and artists bringing a familiar style to superhero storytelling of DC. So basically, it looks like a bunch of panels in a row of DC creators talking about DC Comics. DC Essential is at 1:45, and this is basically like bringing in experts to talk about how you can get into comics, or how you can like use your comics to help you with your love of movies, TV, and video games, and how they kind of mesh. At 3 o'clock, we have 20 Years of Magic Inside Harry Potter. And this is not a fan panel, actually, because this is going to have people who have helped produce the books, including some cover artists for the 15th and 20th anniversary edition, the editor of Harry Potter, and the art director. So that looks pretty cool. At 4:15, we have Batman, the animated series on Blu-ray. And this is going to feature some of the original creators and cast, including Bruce Timm, Alan Burnett, Eric Radomski, and, of course, Andrea Romano and Kevin Conroy. And also the voice of Robin, Lauren Lester. There may be some other surprises, but this is basically just, I would say this is one of those anniversary type panels where everyone gets back together to talk about it. At 5:30, we have DC again with Tom King, the writer, and he's going to be talking about how his former life as a CIA operative inspires some of his stories. And that is really interesting how he moved from being essentially a spy into writing comics. At 6:45, we have IDW Entertainment and Sci-Fi's Wynonna Earp. And this is the cast and creators of Wynonna. Let me see here. We got Melanie Scrofano, Shamir Anderson, Tim Rosen, Dominique Provost-Chockley, Catherine Barrell, Varen Sarunga, and Chantel Riley, along with Emily Andres and the comic creator Bo Smith, talking all about season 3.
In way too small of a room for that panel.
Way too small.
Way too small. I don't think any of these are going to be too bad to get into until that Wynonna Earp.
And the thing is that it's going to start. I mean, the Wynonna Earp people are going to start a few hours before, and that's going to be unfortunate for the Batman animated series and Tom King people because they're going to want to see that. So if you want to see any of those last 3 panels, you're probably going to want to get there before Batman.
Yeah, I completely agree because that Wynonna Earp is just in way too small of a room for that fandom. Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to the next room, which is
6A, and 6A holds a little over 1,000 people. It kicks off at 10 a.m. with Unikitty. They're going to show you a new episode and then do a Q&A with the voice cast of Tara Strong, Greg Griffin, Eric Bauza, H. Michael Kroner, Roger Craig Smith, and I would like to point out that the official schedule does not list the cast for a lot of these WB panels, but I went ahead and added them to our breakout for you guys here to make your lives easier. At 11:15 is My Hero Academia panel with the creator Kohei Horikoshi, and this is going to be huge. This is his very first North American appearance, and people are so freaking excited over this. It's going to be huge.
And it's gonna have voice actors from the show as well.
Yes,
so
yes.
You're piling on there.
Yes. And then at 12:30, we have Big Hero 6, the animated series. And that has quite a few of the voice cast as well, including Scott Adsit, Ryan Potter, Jamie Chung, Genesis Rodriguez, plus new cast members, Brooke Whelan, and Carrie Payton. So that'll be a look at the new Disney Channel animated series. And then at 1:45, we have Marvel Comics, the next big thing. And that is basically Marvel's editor-in-chief telling you all about their new stuff, more or less. And then at 3, we have Meet the Editor-in-Chief. And that will be a talk with CB Cebulski. Is that how we say his name, James?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And it's just kind of him talking. about everything that's going on at Marvel. At 4:15, you've got The Man in the High Castle, which is the only Amazon show this year to get its own individual panel. And they will give you a preview of the upcoming third season with Alexa Davalos, Rufus Sewell, Stephen Root, and Jason O'Mara. And then at 5:30, you get the Netflix upcoming animated series Disenchantment, which is from The Simpsons creator Matt Groening. And do they have any cast? I think that they have people not announced, but I don't think they've actually announced anyone yet. And then at 6:45 is a look at History's Project Blue Book. And this has some really good cast coming. This has Aidan Gillen, who's from Game of Thrones, Michael Malarkey, who was on The Vampire Diaries, Neil McDonough, and Laura Minnell. So that's a really cool chance to see some really big actors actually in a pretty small room. And that is History's new, it's basically like a Alien series. It's a look back at the actual Project Blue Book from the 1950s and 60s. And then at 8, you have The Masquerade, which this year is presented by YouTube's Origin, which I thought was really interesting.
And this is just the simulcast room. It's not actually happening in 6A. They
Yes.
didn't downgrade it. It's,
Yes.
it's simulcast in Sales, 5AB, and 6A.
Yes. Yes. All right.
So basically, this room is front-loaded
Mhm.
because of the Unikitty and My Hero Academia. And it's My Hero Academia, I think, is going to be the big one in this room all day.
Absolutely.
So get there early. You're going to need to line up hours in advance in the thing line and just head straight there. And just, you're going to sit through Unikitty to be able to get to My Hero Academia. And then from then on, it's going to be an open room, I think. I don't think anything else is really going to fill it. I mean, the Marvel stuff will get a lot of people. So just show up a little bit early for those, including the editor-in-chief one is going to actually have an exclusive giveaway variant. So people may want to be there for that. And then the Man on the High Castle is that one going to fill the room or?
What I would say, honestly, for everything from like The Man in the High Castle to Disenchantment to Project Blue Book is basically just, if you're worried, show up like 30 minutes early. I don't think any of these are going to be really hard to get into, but I do think that there's interest in those.
Right.
So I don't think you need to show up like 2 hours early for any of these, but if you're concerned, I'd try to show up like 30 minutes early.
Yeah. And of course, as always, we'll try and keep an eye on it and tweet out updates with rooms. So just keep an eye on Twitter, and if it's looking like the room is staying packed or filling up quickly, then just head over there early and make sure it's in your schedule to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's look at
6 BCF seats just over 2,000, and it is starting off at 10:30 with IGN's Heroes of Fandom. And this is to celebrate the unique bond between artist and audience. And they do not list anybody who's coming that we know of. But it says it's bringing together the stars and content creators who have bridged the gap between fame and fandom. We don't know what that means, but here you go.
Panelists would be helpful, yes.
At 11:45, we have the annual Quick Draw, which is hosted by Quizmaster Mark Evanier. And this year it's going to have Sergio Aragonis, Scott Shaw, and the new kid, Lalo Alcaraz. And basically this is just them having a good old time drawing stuff and joking, and it's a great panel.
It's a lot of fun.
At 1 o'clock, we have the first Cartoon Voices panel, again, moderated by Mark. And the lineup includes JP Karliak, Julie Nathanson, John Mariano, Kerry Walgren, Roger L. Jackson, Matthew Mercer, and maybe a surprise guest or two. And this is just a bunch of cartoon voice actors demonstrating their craft and performing a script with no prep time. At 2:45, we have the return of Midnight Texas, Season 2. This is bringing back most of the cast and producers who have been here before, including Dylan Bruce, Francois Arnaud, Parissa Fitzhenley, Ariel Kebbel, Jason Lewis, Peter Mensa, and the executive producers. At 4 o'clock, we have IGN's Game Changers telling original stories. And this is another IGN, we don't know who they're bringing, but it's the most brilliant minds from the worlds of film, TV, games, and comics. the game changers from their industries.
So
Again,
brilliant, they couldn't even tell you who they are.
just basically look around at the other panels, and someone who's on another panel will most likely be on this panel as well. I'm going to assume. At 5:15, we have The Purge from film to television. And this is basically the cast.
No, it's
cast?
Jason Blum. It's just Jason Blum.
What is going to be talking about the film and the TV show?
Yeah.
So film The First Purge and the upcoming show on USA.
But I mean, honestly, like Jason Blum doing this panel is, in my opinion, kind of a big deal. Like, if I had any time whatsoever, I would be going to this.
At 6:30, we have Talks Machina with Critical Role. And that is basically a community Q&A with Matthew Mercer, Marisha Ray, Liam O'Brien, Sam Riegel, and Taliesin Jaffe to answer your questions about, Critical Role. This one's going to be pretty big, too, from what I understand.
Yeah.
At 7:45, we have 25 years of Nightmare Before Christmas with D23, the official Disney fan club. This is the second D23 panel, and it's all about Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's going to include Henry Selick, Kelly Asbury, Eddie Ichioka, and Anthony Scott, and this is a big deal.
Yes.
As well.
It really is.
So this is actually a really good room for stuff, and it's going to be also a very good room for turnover. I think Quick Draw and Cartoon Voices get a pretty big audience, but I don't know if they ever actually fill up since it's a 2,000-seat room. And I don't know. Do they fill up?
I mean, the only one that I think honestly might fill up is Critical Role. Like, I don't think you understand how popular Critical Role is.
I am learning because I saw the Kickstarter that they did that basically was like 15 million %.
Yeah, it was funded in like 3 minutes.
Yeah. And then just continued on. So yeah, it's going to be big. And in a 2,000-seat room, and you want to get in here with The Purge, and with The Purge right before it, it's going to be a little crowded, but I don't know how many people from The Purge are going to stick around. So just get there maybe right before The Purge during the IGN panel if you want to go to Critical Role. If you're really worried about it, show up a couple hours early.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, though, like those last 3 panels there in the day are all just like amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people are going to change over from Critical Role to Nightmare Before Christmas, because Nightmare Before Christmas is such a wide fandom.
Yeah.
It's so many years to just everyone loves it. So,
but again, as we keep saying, the fact that some of these panels are so late may deter some people.
May.
But
how much do you think those people that are going to be there for Critical Role will be like, well, I'm already here, I'll stick around? I think that's actually going to happen for a fairly significant percentage, because I mean, if I'm in a room and there's 2 panels in a row one that I like and I'm really there for, and one that I'm like, well, I would enjoy it, I'm going to stick around.
Yeah, I agree. So again, those last 3 panels are really going to be the busy ones, with Critical Role being the busiest by far. But there's some great panels all day long in there. And if you have some time earlier in the day, if you're like, I don't have anything else on my Saturday schedule in the day, like go to Quick Draw, go to Cartoon Voices. Those are fantastic panels that don't require much effort, if any, to get into. They're a lot of fun. So it's my spiel. All right, on to Indigo Ballroom, which holds 2,663 people. Things kick off in the day at 10 a.m. with Steven Universe, and they are bringing Estelle, Michaela Dietz, Dee Dee Magno Hall, Zach Callison, and the creator Rebecca Sugar. And this is going to be very popular. It always is. And then at 11, I get the panel I'm the most excited about all week long with The Good Place, which has basically everyone on the show. They're bringing Ted Danson, Kristen Bell, William Jackson Harper, Jamila Jamil, Darcy Carden, Manny Jacinto, and some of the executive producers, which include Michael Schur, Drew Goddard. Like, this is going to be an amazing panel, but not so amazing that you should all go, because I still want to get in. And then at 12, we have Krypton, and I think they're bringing Cameron Cuff, And I think the creator, but I don't think they're bringing much else that they've announced so far beyond that. And then from 1 to 2, you have Manifest, which you could have actually already seen the world premiere of the pilot on Wednesday night if you go to the Ballroom 20 screenings. But this time they are bringing along a whole bunch of the cast, including Melissa Roxburgh and Josh Dallas, who was on Once Upon a Time. So if you liked the pilot and want to learn more, this is where to do it. At 2 o'clock, we have Legacies, which is going to be the spinoff of The Vampire Diaries and the originals. And we get stars Danielle Rose Russell and Matthew Davis, and they're going to show a special video presentation followed by a Q&A. At 3 p.m., you get a look at Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's also bringing along, looks like Seth MacFarlane, Brennan Braga, Jason Clark, some other folks, and they'll be talking about that series. And then at 4, you get Seth MacFarlane again for the Orville, and they are bringing Seth MacFarlane, Adrian Palicki, Penny Johnson, Gerald, and Scott Grimes for a look at that series. And then at 5, you are going to get TV Guide Magazine's Fan Favorites. And this is a fantastic way to see a whole bunch of actors that you like, and which usually not too difficult of a panel to get into. And in fact, this is going to be the only place all week where you can find Lucifer's Tom Ellis. And then they're also bringing along the kid who,
a couple of 100 people, right?
A couple of the 100 people, the 2 main stars on that, and then also the kid who plays Bruce Wayne on Gotham. So this is going to be the only place you can find those people. They also have the main girl from Winona Earp. They have Kat Graham. They have a whole bunch of people. All of that information is on our site if you want the full breakdown of who's there. And then at 6 is Deadly Class, and this is going to be the new sci-fi series based on the graphic novel by Rick Remender, and it's executive produced by the Russo brothers. And it doesn't say that they're there.
Creators, that's all it says.
No, but I think we have this. Hold on.
We're going to wait while he looks it up and see who is going to be on this panel.
Yeah, I say that. Come on.
We're going to answer. There's some questions about the room in the chat, and we will be getting into that as soon as we finish what else is going to be in this room through the day.
Yes. Okay, so the panelists include Rick Remender. Come on. What are you doing, computer? Rick Remender, Miles Orion Feldsot, Benjamin Wadsworth, Lana Condor, Maria Gabriela de Faria, Benedict Wong, and Wes Craig. It doesn't look like the Russo brothers are going to be on this, but they are in town, so who knows? They could always surprise you. And then at 7 is The Magicians, which is the sci-fi series, and I have panelists for that as well, which is John McNamara, Sarah Gamble, Jason Ralph, Stella Maeve, Olivia Taylor Dudley, Hale Appleman, Arjun Gupta, and Summer Bushell. And it's going to be moderated actually by Felicia Day, so that's fun. And then at 8 is the Twin Peaks panel, and this is basically David Lynch's production team has just kind of gathered up a whole bunch of the actors from the series, like Madge Mick, Sheryl Lee, Sherilyn Fenn, Kimmy Robertson. There's just a whole bunch of people, and this is going to be super fun. And it's literally just them talking about the show. They're not really promoting anything, which is like fairly rare for Comic-Con. So I think it's great that they've just gathered all of these people together to just celebrate Twin Peaks.
Yep. So this room is going to be a pain in the butt for anyone who wants virtually anything throughout the day. So, well, except for maybe in the middle. So Steven Universe and The Good Place can both fill this room up on their own, I would assume.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. In fact, I would plan on lining up fairly early for either of those. I think Steven Universe usually is like a 2-hour wait.
So what I would suggest, because if you allow, so let me try and say this in a way that doesn't offend anyone. If you people who want to go to The Good Place want to be nice to the Steven Universe people, don't line up until some of the Steven Universe people have a chance to get in line. Let them go. They will get out of the room. So
yeah,
try and let as many Steven Universe fans as possible get into that room, because they're going to clear out, and then you can get in for the good place. So I understand that there are people who need to be in the front, and in order to do that for the good place, you're going to have to get there early for Steven Universe. But if you don't need to be in the front, try not to go in there and take up a seat from someone who wants to see Steven Universe, and then we'll be vacating the room. I don't know how we can do that. I don't know how easy that's going to be, and I don't know how possible it's going to be, but try. See if you can try and let as many people as possible see each of those panels. After the good place, I don't see the room being too full for Krypton, Manifest, Legacies. I don't think it's going to really fill up any of those.
I don't think so either. I mean, I do think there will be a decent amount of people there for TV Guide Magazine's fan favorites, just because it's a wide range of fandoms, basically, that are represented.
Anyone from the 100, which is only getting an episode screening on Wednesday night, and that's it.
Yep.
But so essentially the rest of the day is a lot of turnover, and I don't really see anything filling up. Right?
I don't either.
Maybe the TV Guide one. The TV Guide one might. So that one, maybe you need to be there an hour early, but everything else, get there 15 to 30 minutes early, and you'll get in the room. So after that, we are going to the first of the big rooms, and that is Ballroom 20, seats 4,800. It's kicking off, which is a little odd, with the first of the WBDC shows at 11 with Black Lightning. And it's bringing stars Chris Williams, China Ann McClain, Nafessa Williams, Christine Adams, Marvin Crondon Jones III, Damon Gupton, James Remar, and the producer Salim Akil. Basically just looking at what's coming up in season 2. After that, we have the animation block starting at noon with The Simpsons. It's basically what you would expect with The Simpsons. It includes David Silverman, Tress MacNeille, moderator Jonathan Fernandez. Warning, there will be prizes. At 1 o'clock, we have American Dad. And then we have at 1:45 Family Guy with the usual cast. At 2:30, we're back to regular scripted TV with The Gifted, and they are bringing a lot of people, including Stephen Moyers, Sean Teal, Jamie Chung, Emma Dumont, Blair Redfield, Natalie Allen Lind, Skylar Samuels, and they're having a look at the upcoming season. Then we start back to the block of DC WB shows with 3:30 with Supergirl, and they're bringing Melissa Benoist. Is it Chyler or Kyler? I don't know how that one.
I don't know. Sorry.
And then Mikad Brooks, David Harewood, Katie McGrath, Jesse Rath, and the producers Robert Rovner, Jessica Keller, and Sarah Schechter. It's basically just going to be a little bit of video and a whole bunch of Q&A. At 4:15, we have Arrow, talking about what's upcoming in season 7 with Stephen Amell, David Ramsey, Emily Bett Rickards, Katie Cassidy, Echo Kellum, Juliana Harkavy, Rick Gonzalez, and Colton Haynes, along with Beth Schwartz. Then at 5 o'clock, we have Legends of Tomorrow, and the cast on that one is Katie Lotz, Brandon Routh, Dominic Purcell, Nick Zano, Maisie Richardson Sellers, Tala Ash, Matt Ryan, Jess McAllen, Courtney Ford, and showrunner Phil Klemmer and producer Kito Shimuzi. And they will be talking about what's coming up in the new season and the fact that Constantine is joining the cast. We have The Flash next at 5:45 with Grant Gustin, Jesse L. Martin, Tom Cavanaugh, Candace Patton, Danielle Panabaker, Carlos Valdez, Hartley Sawyer, Jessica Parker Kennedy, Danielle Nicolette, and executive producer Todd Helbing. They are bringing basically the entire cast of every one of their shows.
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock is The Masquerade. And don't forget, in order to get tickets, there is a Masquerade desk that you will be able to start getting tickets for at noon. There will be a line because The Masquerade is very popular. If the tickets are not given all out at noon, they will be at the Masquerade desk after 3 o'clock. So there's a line for it at noon, somewhere around Ballroom 20, and then at the desk after 3 o'clock. Doors open. Let me see, when do the doors open here? At 8 o'clock. So make sure you line up. All of you who go to the Masquerade know what's up. So,
But again, even if you can't go see it like actually live in Ballroom 20, up in sales, it's like a big party while it happens. In fact, I think this is the only time during Comic-Con you'll find them selling beer up in the sales pavilion. That's cool. And then they also do playback in 5AB and 6A as well. So
right. So this is going to be, again, a busy room. I don't know if any of the animation block ever fills up that room anymore. But it's starting out with Black Lightning and then going right into the animation block and then the Gifted. So I don't think any of this is actually going to fill the room.
See, I absolutely do. I feel like the CW stuff is
going to get people there early.
Absolutely. I feel like the CW stuff is usually like an hour or two wait sometimes to get in. Just because the people who are there for that, like they just go and line up.
And then they just sit the whole day waiting for
they're not going anywhere. Especially since you've got Black Lightning at the start. I feel like a lot of those people honestly are gonna be there from the very start of the day and just resign themselves to sitting through the animated stuff.
So what we're thinking then is that while the room may be full, there should be a little bit of turnover for essentially getting into the room, but just plan ahead. And I would say if you want the DC WB block starting at 3:30, you're going to need to get there during the animation block.
Yeah, I agree. I would plan on like entering the room for the Gifted, which means you basically need to line up like while the animated stuff is going on. That would be my suggestion.
All right. There you go.
And see here, Amber Elliott said, I waited in line for like 5 hours last year for Arrowverse shows last year and didn't get in until the Flash was almost over. This stuff is really popular and those kids will wait all day because this is basically their day. Like, again, they can just go sit in a room all day and be fine. So
and this is actually one that we may be attempting for Supergirl, so we shall see. I mean, you do see that right there, right? For you watching live. So we may be going for Supergirl. Who knows? We'll see how everything else pans out.
That's right.
Now we're going to move on to the big room.
Hall H. Yeah, Hall H. And Hall H, again, holds 6,500. So it's going to kick off at 10:30 a.m. for a 2-hour block of everyone's favorite TBA. But I think we have a pretty good idea of what most of what that TBA is going to be. We know for 100% it'll be Aquaman. We know that the director of the new Godzilla movie said Godzilla will be in Hall H. So there you go. The director of Shazam hinted pretty heavily that it will be at Comic-Con this year. So that's 3 films. And we know, thanks to the signing portal, that there will be at least 5. So I would very much think one of those other ones would be Fantastic Beasts, especially because Warner Brothers created a hashtag that said magic in San Diego, which why would you create that hashtag if you're not bringing Fantastic Beasts to Comic-Con? So I would very much guess that's one of it. And then the other slot, the final slot, could go to just about anything. They could bring the Meg. They could bring the Lego Movie 2. We've had some hints that might come. So actually, I think that's my guess. But they have Mowgli. Like, they have so much stuff that they could actually bring. So, and someone asked in the chat just now, possible Godzilla signing. I think yes. I think right now in the signing portal, they list 5 signings for WB. 2 WB/DC movies, which are probably Aquaman and Shazam. And then 3 just regular Warner Brothers movies, which should be Godzilla, Fantastic Beasts, and then whatever else they bring, which again, I really think is the Lego Movie 2. But very likely a Godzilla signing for the person who just asked. So that's Warner Brothers and Hall H, and that's going to be by far the biggest panel of the day in here. And then at 1, you have an hour and a half of the animation show of shows, everyone's favorite. I don't even think we need to say anything about that. That's basically a thanks for coming, now please leave, clear the room panel.
But that is good. It's just not what people are there for.
I know. And then at 2:45, we have, am I saying this right, guys? The Riza.
The RZA.
The RZA. Okay, the RZA. And they will be talking about Cutthroat City with Shameik Moore, Wesley Snipes, T.I., Terrence Howard, Demetrius Shipp Jr., Denzel Whitaker, Keenan Johnson, Kat Graham, as well as some executive producers. So that's a look at that film. And then at 4, you have the annual Entertainment Weekly Women Who Kick Ass panel, which is always a lot of fun. And they've got some really good actresses this year. They've got Chloe Bennett, Regina King, Camila Mendez, Amanda Stenberg, and Jodie Whittaker. So if you maybe don't have a Thursday badge, or if you've got something else going on, this is a great chance to see the new Doctor Who. And then at 5:15 to 6:15, we've got Deadpool 2, which again is the panel no one possibly predicted. And it says that prepare for the ultimate superhero landing as Deadpool and pals drop into Hall H for an hour of maximum effort. So the fact that it says Deadpool and pals, to me, suggests that Ryan Reynolds is very much going to be there. But anything goes. You pointed out, I think, that isn't the actor who played Colossus on another panel?
Yes, the actor who played Colossus is on, I think, 2 other panels.
Okay, so then I would very much assume that he will be part of this. But we don't know anyone else. We know nothing. I know that some people have questioned whether they could throw on a little bit of like X-Men Dark Phoenix onto here, and who knows? Again, no one knows what's going on with this panel. It just magically appeared. And then at 6:45, you have an evening with Kevin Smith, which is just his annual talk.
So this is a fun room. It's going to be crazy busy for Warner Brothers, like it always is. But without the pull of the evening Marvel panel to generate such a fervor for the line and a 2-day wait, we have a feeling that this is actually going to be an easy day to get into Hall H for the first time in 2 or 3 years. The last time Marvel wasn't there, basically. It's going to be full for Warner Brothers. It's going to empty for the next few hours. I think you're going to be able to get into anything for the rest of the day. Deadpool 2 may pull in a lot of people, but with it being a movie that's already out, people may be making other choices because there may be something else they want to see that is new.
I agree. I don't think, honestly, you're going to have to camp out overnight for any of this stuff. I think for Warner Brothers and Deadpool, maybe 2-hour wait, maybe 3 hours, but definitely not all of it.
Here's the thing. So was it 2 or 3 years ago for the first Deadpool, when Fox had their Saturday night lineup when Marvel wasn't there? We got in line, I think it was sometime around 2 o'clock for the 5 o'clock panel, maybe a little bit before 2. And we got in the room before the Fox panel started.
Yeah.
It was like maybe a 2.5 hour wait. And that was when it was all those new movies like the Maze Runner, Deadpool, X-Men. And it was still only a few hours wait on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So this is Deadpool 2 with nothing else, not even stars listed. So, I mean, a 2-hour wait is probably going to be your average, if even that. And it's mainly just because they don't like to let people in while the panel's going on.
Correct. But yeah, I don't know that there's anything happening at Comic-Con this entire year that I would say if you do not camp out, you will not make it in. I don't think there is. So here's the deal. You will absolutely still see people camping out, and those are the people who want to make it to the front of the room. Those people would camp out regardless. Like, if you told them that this was a Deadpool 2 panel with like one executive producer, those people would still be camping out just because that's what they want to do. And that's fine. But if all you want to do is make it into the room, don't stress that much. Like, just show up, like we said, like 2 or 3 hours early for some of this really big stuff. And
somebody in the chat, Tony in the chat, and also I recall this from a few years ago when Sean did it. That same day for Warner Brothers in the morning, Sean showed up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Got into Warner Brothers.
Got a wristband, yeah.
So don't think that you need to sleep overnight for this if you just want in the room. You don't have to.
Completely agree.
If you're really worried, show up at 7 a.m.
Or the other option, assuming that they're doing wristbands like they were before, which we don't know, we won't know until tomorrow. But if they are, show up at night when they're handing out wristbands, get your wristband, you're allowed to leave, and then you come back in the morning, you get in the back of the line, you're guaranteed to get in because you have that wristband. There you go.
That's if you're super worried.
Yeah. But like that, I really don't think that's necessary for anything whatsoever this year. Again, you will still see people camping out, but those are the people who went in the front of the room. If all you want is to get in, it's not going to be that hard.
Right. And we don't really talk about how long you have to wait to get to the front of the room because it just varies for everyone and how close they want to be. And there's too many variables.
Absolutely. Well, like I have people all the time who ask me like, how early do I want to line up for the front? I will never answer that question ever, because here's the thing. And I don't think anyone else should, because the thing is, as soon as you put a time online, someone else is going to see that and be like, oh, well, if they think that's the time, I'm going to line up 30 minutes before that. And it just goes exponentially, and it's stupid. So I will never answer those questions. And again, quite frankly, if you are planning your lineup times online, I highly recommend you don't post the time.
There you go.
All right. So let's talk about our dark horses for the day.
My dark horse for the day, actually, I have a ton as usual, but my main one is this small little panel in 5AB called Wonder Woman in the 1940s. And the panelist who it's spotlighting is Joy Murchison Kelly, who has been revealed to be the unknown assistant of William Marston? Is that his name? The guy who created Wonder Woman and wrote it for years, of course. And she apparently was the uncredited and unknown assistant who helped write or fully wrote a bunch of the early Wonder Woman comics. And this is going to be Trina Robbins and Mark Evanier talking to her about her life and about writing Wonder Woman back then. So I think this is just amazing that someone can be found who had such a hand in all of this going on back in the day. And I'm probably going to try and make this no matter what else is going on throughout the day, because it just looks amazing.
It does look amazing. All right. And then I have a couple. My number one dark horse of the day is actually a spotlight on Matt Taylor, who did the awesome souvenir book cover this year for Marvel's 10th anniversary. And he is going to be chatting with Rob Jones, who's the Mondo creative director. So if you like Mondo, if you like awesome art, it'll just be the two of them, and apparently a mystery second panelist to learn about the process of making movie posters. In a lot of ways, I feel like this is actually like a on the down low Mondo panel that we got last year, just mostly focused on Matt Taylor. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and that's at 12:30 p.m. in room 8.
Oh, I suppose I should give the room number for that Wonder Woman one, huh? 5A at 4:30.
There you go.
So go through some of your other ones that you may have. It's just like little tidbits. Did you have any others?
Yeah, so I thought this sounded fun. Over at 11 a.m. in Grand 9 at the Marriott Marquis, they're doing 75 years of superhero cereal boxes. And it's basically just, they call themselves Cerealologist, which I thought was cute. But it's basically just two guys taking you through the history of superheroes doing branding with cereal companies. And I think that sounds fascinating, actually.
I will admit to having a full unopened box of Batman cereal from 1989.
See? Like, I think that's cool. All right. And then I just thought this was hysterical. But also in room Grand 9 over at the Marriott Marquis is the Sneaky, Tiki, Freaky, Geeky Ukulele Play and Sing Along. And they will hand you a ukulele for the use of the panel, and they're going to teach you how to play it. So if you've got a kid who's really bored at 6 p.m., take them to this, because
What?
Yeah. So that's my other dark horses. Tell me the rest of yours, James.
Okay, here we go. We have Lights, the artist, showing up for a random panel at 26AB, 6:30 p.m. For those of you who are fans, you'll know what that's all about. We have the animation artist teach caricature in room 11 at 4 p.m. And this is awesome because it's a Disney directing legend, John Musker, who directed Little Mermaid and Moana, or co-directed, and a bunch of animators and story artists who will draw live on stage, choosing audience members to be immortalized by the artists, and then you will get to keep the art they create. That's awesome. We have Page to Screen, The Darkest Minds, in room 25 ABC at 3 p.m. And that is the author, Alexandra Bracken, along with director Jennifer Yu Nelson, and the cast, Amanda Stenberg, Harris Dickinson, Skyland Brooks, and Mia, I think it's Czech, for Look at the Movie, which is coming out. I actually just saw the poster at the theater last night. So this is a really small room for basically the cast and director and author of this movie. Then we have Stay Classy San Diego, which is in here just solely for the name and the first line of the description. It's Sunday at 2:30 p.m. in room 8, and it is discovered by the Germans in 1904. They named it San Diego, which of course in German means awesome comics. Then we have Rise Up, Halon, and Pacific Rim Uprising, and this is the FX company who worked on Pacific Rim, and they're basically going to break down the entire epic final battle layer by layer, which any of you who are interested in behind the scenes and how they do the visual effects, this is the panel for you. It is 25 ABC at noon. And then David Mack is getting, it's not really a spotlight because it's part of the Comics Arts Conference in room 26AB at 10:30, and he's basically just going to be discussing his travels for the State Department as a cultural ambassador, his work in TV and film. So it's essentially a spotlight, but it's in the Comics Arts Conference.
That sounds fun.
There's still more. I mean, I found so much stuff on Saturday that's just in all these small rooms. Saturday morning cartoon jam with IDW, which is basically them going over all of their children's comics, and you can see the comic making process and how to make a comic of your own. So if you are looking to get into comics, or if you're a little younger and you want to see some of these comics being created and all of that, go there. And there's also going to be a special gift. And of course, the Netflix show that no one knows about, Avatar's head writer reveals new series, is the name of the panel. So it doesn't mention the name of the series or the fact that Netflix is involved. But Aaron Ehaz, head writer of Avatar The Last Airbender, is creating a new animated series, The Dragon Prince, and we'll be there with Justin Richmond, the co-creator, and executive producer Giancarlo Volpe to premiere, well, actually a sneak peek and an inside look at the new Netflix series coming in September. So there is one more Netflix show that will be at Comic-Con, just not the ones you wanted. That's a lot of stuff. Saturday
is a lot of stuff.
And it's all in the small rooms.
Yep.
So Saturday, what do you think?
I think it's a pretty good lineup. I mean, I know, again, the thing is just without Marvel there, it's always going to be a little bit weird. I actually think Thursday in total has a much better lineup. Maybe that's just for me personally, but overall, I think Saturday still got some really great stuff, especially like you just said, if you take the time to like actually look through the schedule, like there's so many awesome panels, but we get Warner Brothers bringing so much stuff this day. We get The Good Place, we get all the normal CW, WB TV stuff. Like there's some really good stuff this day.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you that Thursday is pretty heavy on the cool stuff. Saturday has a lot of good stuff too, especially for, you know, the WBDC fans, comics. Yes. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. You just have to go looking for it. And it's just the big media push of WB in the morning, Marvel at night for Hall H is now gone because we just have WB.
But again, here's the good thing. That means that you can get into Hall H without a whole lot of effort. So there's pluses and minuses. Like the good news is, again, I don't think anything this entire year is going to require a camp out just to make it into the room. So I am actually like the most excited I've ever been to have cool stuff. But no, I don't have to sleep out on the ground for like the first time ever this year. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, I know. Normally I leave our party and like immediately go to sleep on the grass. So this is fun. All right. Real quick, before we move on to Sunday, for everyone watching live, you might want to go jump onto our Twitter like right now. Like right now.
What's going on?
What's going on? In fact, I'm going to give it just a second because I know there's a lag to let you do that. What's going on? And I am tweeting now. So Nerd Night tickets went up. So there's your link. Have fun. You enjoy. You enjoy that. All right. Let's see here.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. All right, cool. Let's move right on.
Let's just start in on Sunday.
Yeah, let's start it on Sunday while you guys are all scrambling. We can be your background noise. All right. At 10 a.m. and we're going to start with room 7AB again, which holds 480 people. At 10 a.m., we have a spotlight on Elizabeth Hand, and she will be chatting with Andrea Adams and some other folks to discuss her upcoming historical thriller, Curious Toys. And then at 11, we have a spotlight on Alex Grecian, who is a New York Times bestselling author of like The Yard, The Saint of Wolves, and Butchers, and a Q&A. And then at 12 is Diversity in Comics, Indian Superheroes on the Rise, it'll have the Graphic India co-founder and creator Sharad Devarajan.
I think that's about it. I don't think they're bringing anyone else.
Yeah, I think so too. Basically just to talk about global comics. And then at 1 p.m. is Geek and Sundry, which sadly does not have Felicia Day, but it's got some really cool people like, how do we say her name?
I'm going to say Taliesin.
Taliesin Jaffe from Critical Role, Amy Dallin from Sagas of Sundry, and Matt Key from Key Question, and they will basically just be talking about their shows on Geek and Sundry. At 2 p.m. is Bizarre States, which is the Nerdist show, and that will include Jessica Chobot, Andrew Bowser, and a surprise panelist as they look at the podcast. And then over in 3 p.m., you have the 25th anniversary celebration of X-Men, the animated series. And they've got some really cool people like the showrunner, Eric Lewald, one of the series producers and directors, Larry Houston, who's actually one of the special guests at Comic-Con this year, and also some of the series writers as they look back at the series. At 4 p.m. is Keen Spot Turns 18. And it's a look at the comics publisher Keen Spot. And I don't think any of these are going to be too hard to get into. I know that Nerdist and Geek and Sundry definitely have their own following that's pretty popular, but I think without Felicia Day Jessica Chobot's a pretty big name, but I think with that being the biggest name really on this lineup, I don't think any of these are going to be too hard to get into.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's going to be pretty easy. Even with the smaller room, I think it's going to be pretty easy on all of these.
Yeah, I think so too.
Horton Grand is empty for the day. Correct?
Yes, Horton Grand has no panels on Sunday.
All right. And then we move it on to 6DE, seats 884, and starting off at 10 a.m. with DC for All. Now, remember that Sunday is Kids or Family Day, so there's going to be a lot of panels themed towards the younger Comic-Con fan, and that's the case with DC for All. And it's basically it's about the imprints at DC, including DC Black Label, which I don't think is for kids, but the stuff from DC Zoom and DC Inc. is, and then there will also be some stuff about DC's Young Animal. John Romita Jr. is going to be there, and some other creators, but John Romita Jr. is the only one mentioned. At 11:15, we have Shonen Jump panel with Kohei Hirokoshi, and this is, of course, the creator of My Hero Academia on his second panel, which means it's going to be big. So if you couldn't get into the first panel, you can try getting into this one. There will be tons of prizes as well, as if that wasn't enough that the creator of My Hero Academia was going to be there.
Right.
At 12:30, we have Women of Marvel, and that is behind-the-scenes talent from Marvel Rising, and other creatives will be there to talk about working as a woman in comics and what it means for the future of the industry. At 1:45, we have DC Too Tough Trivia, and this is basically a trivia contest to test your knowledge about the DC universe, and you can win prizes if you get stuff right. At 3 o'clock, we have the Harlan Ellison, A Celebration of His Life and Works. This is going to be moderated by Chris Ryle, and it's going to include Josh Olson, Bill Sinkovich, William Stout, Eric Nelson, Steve Barnes, Nat Segaloff, Jude Myers, Scott Tipton, J.K. Woodward, Christine Vallada, Jason Davis, and many other friends that can make basically anyone who wants to show up will probably be invited to show up. And there will also be Dreams with Sharp Teeth. Director Nelson will feature some never-before-seen documentary footage of Harlan, and you'll also get a complimentary print. So this room, I think, is, with the exception of the Shonen Jump panel, is going to be pretty easy to get into. But if everyone figures out that he's on this panel, that 11:15 Shonen Jump panel is going to be packed, so get there early.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
And then we're going to move on to 6A.
That's right, which again holds 1,040 people. And it's going to kick the day off at 10:30 a.m. with Lego Ninjago. And this is a good time to point out that Sunday is actually Kids Day at Comic-Con. Sorry, what? Oh, you did? I'm sorry.
That's
all right. At 10:30, we've got Lego Ninjago with a bunch of the creators of the show, as well as some of the voices like Brent Miller, Kelly Metzger, Vincent Tong, to talk about the series. And then at 11:45, you get Cartoon Voices 2, which is the second of Mark Evaniers' panel, where he gathers up a whole bunch of awesome voice talent. This round includes Elle Newlands, Kif Vanderhoovel, Vanessa Marshall, Andre Sogliuzzo, and Dino Andrade. And then at 1:30, you get Marvel Animation Presents, which is Marvel's annual panel where they look at all of their animated series. This year, they'll look at Marvel's Avengers Black Panther's Quest. I'm sure there will be some other announcements in there as well, because there always are. And then at 2:45 is the annual Starship Smackdown, which is basically where a whole bunch of geeks just debate things, more or less.
Come up with a question that's just a little more interesting than who would win in a fight between Superman and Hulk, and you might be able to ask it at this and then have people argue about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So do we see any of this getting full? I mean, is it basically just, I think maybe Ninjago may be pretty popular in the morning.
I think Ninjago will be pretty popular first thing in the morning, but I think after that you can probably just walk into most of this. And I think even Lego Ninjago, again, just show up like 30 minutes early.
I think Starship Smackdown gets a pretty good audience, but I don't know if it's going to require a wait to get in.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we're now on to 6 BCF, which seats 2160. And it starts off, this is basically a cartoon day here, 10 a.m. world premiere of Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost, and includes on the panel after the screening, Bobby Flay and Giada De Laurentiis.
I mean, that's actually a really big deal.
It's pretty cool. And it includes some voice talent as well, including Matthew Lillard and Grey Griffin, and a few others. I don't think Kate Micucci is going to be there, but she's listed. So who knows? And then afterwards, at 12:15, we have the world premiere of DC Superhero Girls Legends of Atlantis. And again, it'll have some of the cast there. And then at 1:45, we have the world premiere of Lego DC Comics Superheroes Aquaman Rage of Atlantis. And again, they will have some people there afterwards. And then finally at 3:45, we have the annual Buffy musical Once More with Feeling screening run by Whedonpolis Fandom Charities. And you will get probably a little gift possibly that they hand out there. I think they do that sometimes. But if you want to go and watch the episode and sing along, here you go.
That's right.
These are going to be basically just walk in all day, correct?
Yeah, I think so too.
Show up 5 minutes before, find your seat. And remember, even though there are cast, it is much more comfortable to watch the screen if you are sitting in front of a screen and not in front of the stage.
Yep, I agree. All right, so on to Indigo, which is I know Indigo is open for the first time on a Sunday to the public, with exactly one panel, which is going to be Cartoon Network's Best Summer Ever Costume Ball. I think this was normally on like a Thursday in Ballroom 20. I might be making that up, but I know it was always on a different day previously. But it's basically Cartoon Network hosting a cosplay contest. There's prizes. There's judges. It's fun. It's fun for the kids. So this is just a cool option. And then Ballroom 20, however, is still closed.
So let's mention, even though it's not on the official schedule, if you are a Marvel Unlimited member or know of a way to get into it, there actually is a special Marvel panel at, I think it's either 10 or 10:30 in the morning in Indigo. But you have to have an invite, or you have to be a Marvel Unlimited or Marvel Unlimited Plus member.
Or you can have the Marvel credit card. That's new this year.
Marvel credit card. So that was announced on the Marvel panel listings. It is not on the official Comic-Con schedule because obviously not every attendee can go.
Correct.
So they put it on the official schedule.
Correct.
And now we're going to get to Hall H, seat 6,500, and is kicking off at 10:30 a.m. with the annual Supernatural panel. Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, Misha Collins, Alexander Calvert, and producers Robert Singer, Andrew Dabb, Eugenie Ross Lemming, and Brad Buckner will all be there to discuss the 14th season. And as we all know, Kansas was there last year, and I don't know if they're actually going to try and top that because it'll be kind of hard to top.
Yes, it will. A little bit.
And then getting a room upgrade at 11:45 is Riverdale. And they will be bringing KJ Apa, Lily Reinhart, Camila Mendez, Cole Sprouse, Marissa Nichols, Madeline Petch, Ashley Murray, Mark Consuelos, Casey Cott, Skeet Ulrich, Matt Janamick, Luke Perry, and Vanessa Morgan, as well as the producers Robert Aguirre-Sacasa, Sarah Schechter, and John Goldwater. That's a lot of people. At 1 o'clock, we have Mayans MC. This is the sister show to Sons of Anarchy, which was a Sunday staple in Hall H for years. And there will be some cast and producers there as well. And then at 2:15, another room upgrade from last year, we get Legion. It doesn't say who's going to be there, just that no actors are listed, but it does say that, let me see here. Is Noah Hawley going to be there?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Cameron and Jeff Loeb, and some cast members. We don't even know who yet, but they will be talking about season 3, and this is the final panel in Hall H of the day. Obviously, in Flow, Supernatural is going to be packed. Last year, it did fill up before it started, but you did not need to wait overnight to get in the room.
Yeah.
But now with Riverdale and then Legion later in the day, it's kind of hard to tell exactly how full it will be. I'm assuming that the Riverdale people will help fill it up. So get there a few hours early and you should make it into the room.
I don't feel like any of this is going to be that hard to get into. I mean, Riverdale, maybe, but I definitely don't feel like Legion is going to completely fill that room, especially that late on a Sunday. But like he said, if worried, show up a little bit early. Yeah.
Okay. Dark Horse.
All right. So my dark horse for Sunday is actually Comic-Con staff and special panelists will actually be doing a panel in room 29AB at 12 p.m. to talk about the new museum that's going into Balboa Park. And I'm super interested in that for pretty obvious reasons. So that's really my dark horse panel. But I think it'll be cool to see like what their plans are for it and hear more about what it's going to look like. I think that's cool.
It is, yeah. Did you have any others?
I do. I have one other. I guess I'll go ahead and say it since I only have one other. At 12:30 in room 23 ABC, there is Powerful Young Women in Disney Comics. And this has a whole bunch of awesome artists and authors like Amy Meberson, Katie Cook, Jody Hauser. And this is basically just a really cool showcase of female power. And especially if you've got like a little girl, like take her to this. It's Disney. Like it'll be really fun just to see all of these awesome people and what they do at Disney. So that is my other dark horse. Let's hear yours.
Speaking of Disney, we have in room 2 at 10 a.m. creating a Walt Disney comic story. And it's a couple of Disney people. Patrick and Shelley Block will create an actual Donald Duck story with audience participation in a creative workshop. And so basically, if you're interested in seeing something happen through the process and actually getting drawn and written right there, come and join the fun. That looks like it's going to be really cool. And again, since it's Kids Day, I think a lot of these are geared towards that. So if you're bringing your kids, there's going to be plenty of stuff to do that isn't just sitting down and watching a cartoon.
Yeah.
And then I think this one may be one of my favorite panels of the entire weekend, and that is in Grand 1 and 2 Marriott Marquis over in the hotel. Dinosaurs versus Unicorns at 11 a.m. A spirited family discussion to determine which stories, characters, toys, activities are for girls and which are for boys. Ethicist and sociologist Dr. Melissa James will stimulate conversation as Rachel Todd and Alexander Todd. Now, Rachel's a dinosaur expert and Alexander is a unicorn expert. Rachel is 8. Alexander is 5.
I think that's amazing.
They will speak from the heart, balanced by experienced debate moderator Laura Todd, their mom. This is going to be pretty awesome. So, yeah, if you're interested in this debate, head on over there. I know it probably doesn't seat very many over in this room, so just go over there and cheer these kids on because this looks like it's going to be pretty incredible.
That does sound fun.
So just a reminder that the San Diego International Children's Film Festival is happening from 10 to 5 in room 9 all day long. There is digitized the graphics of Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam, T2, and more. And it's basically the guy who created Qbert, designer and programmer of Qbert, Warren Davis, will be discussing WTARG, the digitization system that allowed for live actors to be used in video games back in the 90s. So that should be pretty cool. That is Grand 9 in the Marriott Marquis at 11 a.m. Let's see. We have the Browncoats meeting room. I would be remiss if I did not mention the Browncoats. They're in Grand 1 and 2 in the Marriott Marquis at 1 p.m. And this year they're going to be hosting a live auction of posters, rare items, and fun Firefly finds. And all of it will benefit charity. So if you're interested in some Firefly collectibles, take some money and go do some bidding. And then finally, we have Cover Story, 2 p.m. in 25 ABC, and it's yet another panel hosted by Mark Evanier. And this time it's cover artists William Stout, Joelle Jones, Veronica Fish, Matt Taylor, and Joe Jusko. So it's basically some high-powered cover talent discussing covers they've done and talking shop. So that looks like it's going to be pretty cool as well for you art lovers. That's it. I think that's
it.
I think that.
What do you think of the Sunday schedule?
I think Sunday is actually probably the most normal of the con compared to previous years. Actually,
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no
surprises. Yep.
No surprises.
I mean, really, like the biggest surprises on this list are basically that Riverdale and Legion got moved up to Hall H. Like that's pretty much the extent of the Sunday surprises.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a solid day. Sunday is always lighter, always. But there's some good stuff intermixed here. And
the reason, I mean, one of the things, not only because the show closes at 5, but because it doesn't run past 5, unlike days where they can run late if they feel like it, if there's enough stuff to stuff in there, like the Twin Peaks panels at 8 p.m. even though the con closes at 7. They're going to keep stuff going, but on Sunday they can't. So every panel has to start by by 4 o'clock and end by 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except mention Talkback.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to ask. Did we mention Talkback? So Talkback starts at I think 3:30 p.m.
Yes, 3:30.
And if you've never been to Talkback, it's basically like town hall. Like imagine the town halls on Parks and Rec, and that's more or less actually what it is. It's people come, they air their grievances. Every once in a blue moon, you get like an actual compliment, but it is David Glanzer and John Rogers, who's the president of Comic-Con, just doing a town hall. And so it is a really good place, though. If you have any sort of complaints or suggestions for the panel that you want to make sure are heard, that is the place to do it. And sometimes you get some news out of it too. So sometimes there's some cool stuff that comes out of it.
And that is in 23 ABC at 3:30.
Yeah.
Whew.
All right. So this is the weirdest Comic-Con schedule, I think, actually, since I've started going. There's some amazing stuff on here, but all of this also feels like very unnormal.
So we can theorize all we want about why it's the case. I think that it's
a lot of things.
It's a lot of things. I think it might partially be that they wanted to start trying to lessen the lines, and that's why they're shifting as much stuff as possible to random different areas in different days. I don't know if they can actually. Would they actually start turning away companies, or is it just a lot of studios are just like, not this year, we'll come next year? I don't know.
I think it's more that. I think it's absolutely more that. To me, some of the weirdest things this year are the amount of great programming that's later. And then just like some weird decisions, like The Darkest Minds that we mentioned, that's in like a tiny little room. Whereas like, it's not like you didn't have room in larger rooms for that. You know, like there's even cast coming, so that's super weird. The fact that we have a Deadpool 2 panel is like both the most Deadpool 2 thing I can think of, right. And also really weird.
I mean, that is seriously probably the most left field panel of the entire convention.
But at the same time, like it feels like totally in character for this. Like in our own internal chat, we had several staff members yesterday who were like, this is so weird and wrong. And I was like, no, this is actually amazing, because so many people complained last year when they didn't go. So I feel like Fox was like, well, you complained. Well, guess what? We're going to show up now, a year later. Okay. So it's strange, but it's awesome. There's just weird stuff. But again, I'm excited because I feel like the lines for the panels are going to be significantly less. The lines for everything else probably going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. So this is what I would suggest because of that is take a look at the schedule, do a deep dive into the schedule, look at everything, find things that seem or could be interesting to you or even something new for you, and go and do it. Get into those rooms, move around, go see stuff, and for one, you won't have to deal with a lot of the crowds on the floor and out in the offsites. You're going to take advantage of one of the things that really Comic-Con is known for, its panels, because they host more panels than any other convention ever, basically. I mean, there's like 1,400 panels or something like that.
And especially if you're a person like who doesn't normally go to panels, this is an amazing year to try some out.
Yeah, exactly. And also just try not to get into that mode where a lot of people just feel like they have to wait so long for something. And let's start trying to, I mean, everyone calls it LineCon, but let's trying to change the culture a bit back to what it was, which was show up and enjoy what you want and don't feel like you have to wait in line for everything. Unfortunately, the offsites are still going to be that way because they just can't get that many people through.
Yeah.
But let's just try and shift the culture a bit, which I think is actually one of the things that Comic-Con is trying to do.
I think so too. I think that's very much one of their hopes and goals. But again, like if you're a person who's like, oh, I'll never make it into Hall H, like try this year. You can do it with like a very small time commitment. So this is going to be an awesome year to try out some cool things that maybe you normally wouldn't get to do on the panel side just because of you don't want to camp out overnight. So
yeah. I'm hoping that for me, camping overnight is, as you mentioned, not going to happen this year.
I know it's not for me.
I will be probably sitting in a room all day once, but other than that, no, I'm going to try and go to as many different panels as I can, mixed in with the different offsites and other events that we have going on. That this is what Comic-Con is supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to go to different stuff and try out new things and see the things you love. And if you can manage to do that more than just waiting 2 days for a Hall H panel, have at it. That's what it's going to be great. A lot of people are going to enjoy I think this convention this year. It's going to be weird, but it's going to be fun.
That's what I think too. And truthfully, I just want to give a PSA. The years, honestly, where I go and there's like nothing that I'm like so super psyched about, sometimes wind up being the very best years because you wind up doing some stuff you wouldn't normally do. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
So
and typically what I've done in some past years on Sunday is I just wander.
Yeah.
And, go to the show floor for a while, randomly go here or there, go outside. And there's nothing that's nailing you down to be a certain place. And you can just find things, and nothing really needs to be like a destination. I mean, I know that, we do promote the one get a day and then you'll be happy for the day, but there's also something to be said for just taking a day, seeing where it leads you.
Completely agree.
Oh yeah, someone says get lunch. Yeah, exactly. Go get some. Take some time.
Go enjoy San Diego. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, that's it. I mean,
that's the schedule.
I'll wrap up.
It's the schedule.
We don't even know what's going on when we're done.
It's a weird year, but again, I feel like it has like so much potential to be awesome, even with like as weird as this is. So I hope you all have an amazing convention, and you will see our shining faces again on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time when we are joined by Kevin Eastman, which that's going to be fun. I'm excited about that. Yep. And that should be our very last podcast of the season.
It should be. Yeah, let's go over some of the things that we're going to talk about on that show besides having Kevin Eastman on. We're going to talk about outside events because we should have hopefully a few more. Kim from Outside Comic-Con is hopefully going to be able to make it and be on the show. And if she's there, we're going to talk all about outside stuff for a while.
Yep.
And then we're also going to be discussing the Hall H changes, if any. But basically, we're going to talk about what's going on with Hall H because we're going to find out about that stuff tomorrow. So we'll talk about it on Tuesday.
Yep.
Those are going to be the main topics besides all the other news and exclusives and everything else that we didn't talk about on these last two podcasts because it was all about the schedule.
Yeah. And then just to clarify, Night Bodega just asked, are you not doing a post S2CC Concast? Yes, we will. But we mean like it's our last show until the convention.
Tuesday after the convention, we will be dragging ourselves out of bed to get on and talk about what we hope is going to be an amazing convention. I'm
excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I get Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and The Good Place. I might be the only one excited about that trio, but I'm pumped. So,
based on what I've seen online, you are not the only one excited about it.
Agreed. So I also wanted to mention this, not that I think anyone is ever listening to this podcast, but hey, companies, do you know what gets people and geeks excited at Comic-Con? It's good TV, not just your weird genre show that is like terribly written and you think, oh, I'll bring it to Comic-Con. We like good stuff. So Bring us your good stuff, even if you think like no one's going to care about this comedy show, because we do.
This is an interesting question, actually. I want to try and answer. Sir Lister of Smeg asks, how often do you tweet during con? We tweet a lot. That all of our staff have access to our Twitter during the convention, and therefore you never know which one of us it is unless someone's saying something specific, like something about pugs, which would be Carrie most likely.
All the Taco Bell tweets will be me.
Taco Bell will be Carrie. But what we do is we basically tweet as much as we can to keep you as informed as we can, which is the point of Twitter during the convention. So we just tweet. I mean, and we all have the great thing about having so many different people with so many different interests is we're all over the convention center and downtown, and Parks and Cons helps us out. Basically, we try and tweet. Sometimes we almost tweet 24 hours a day with all the different people and when we're up at different hours. So it's pretty fun.
It is pretty fun. And the other thing that will be happening on our Twitter is, of course, Adventures of Prize Mule, which is where we give out awesome prizes through our Twitter. So we have an amazing, amazing lineup of companies this year. In fact, we just added 2 more this last week, including Mondo and BBC America. So keep an eye out on our Twitter for those announcements. And if you find us, you could win a prize.
There you go. So we'll also be updating the autographed and signing schedule. It's on our site, so go ahead and check it out there. At this late hour, if you still need a badge, don't worry. There are some available. It's for contests. A lot of radio stations and TV stations locally, so check out our contest hub. And we're also pumping out the last little bit of news in the Under the Tents column. All the little things that we try and catch will be there all the way up until right before the convention.
Yes. That is correct. And we have 1 more newsletter, at least. We might have 2 more. We've got 1 that should be going out tomorrow, and then probably, I guess, 1 more the last week of Comic-Con. Hi, dog. But that is pretty much our news, right?
Well, the podcast started with a dog. Now it has to end with a dog.
Yeah. Now it has to end with a dog. This is the other dog who did not take good photos. All right. And in closing...
join us 1 more time on Tuesday, as we mentioned, with Kevin Eastman. And then our newsletter is coming. And Carrie, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon. And James, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I am all over the internet at Dan Regal. Or you can check out geekshotphoto.com for photography from my wife and I. And thank you to Beth, producer of the show. She edits it, puts it together. I had slides. She created slides that said schedule for a Saturday and Sunday, and I didn't use them because I was too busy talking. So thank you for creating them and then me not using them.
Thank you, Beth. We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SDConcast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We're also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog. Or tweet us at SD_comic_con. Thank you all for listening and watching. And everybody, go. Bug.